Oh my goodness. Anime Adventures is reaching record levels of low player counts that I did not deem to be possible for this game. And if you've been around the channel, you know that I love milking this game as much as the next guy. Literally free views. But this is a new record. This is crazy. I wasn't even going to make another AA video until I put out my full timeline thing. But that's in a while. And I'm looking at these numbers right now, and I am genuinely baffled, hornswoggled, bamboozled, disoriented, discombobulated, whatever word you want to find in the dictionary to describe the state of surprise that I'm in right now is not strong enough, because holy shit! Oh my goodness, I'm at a loss for words. I'm at a loss for words, but I can't say that I didn't see it coming. In this video, we're going to be talking about Anime Adventures. Did they give up? Are they still in the running? Will we see an Anime Adventures comeback? Or is the era of their reign finally over? Something important to take into account before we get into this discussion is that Anime Adventures was the anime tower defense game of its kind for a very long time. The quality, things like the evolution system, being used to having really stunning visual effects, was not something, I'm not going to say it never happened before, but Anime Adventures felt like the first real anime tower defense game of its kind, because yes, anime or All-Star Tower Defense was around before them, and they were super duper popular at one point in time. They weren't Anime Adventures. Anime Adventures really solidified themselves. Oh, that fucking jump scared me. What was I saying? Anime Adventures really solidified themselves as a standalone pillar in this genre because of how good their game was. Just pure quality. The models looked amazing. The effects looked amazing. And even though I didn't grind it too heavily back then, I had like a couple meta units, but I could not be bothered to grind it out every single update or do tournaments. I did play it, and I'll be the first to tell you, there's just an inexplicable feeling of joy that you get from grinding out that game back in its prime. And I mean, you know, if you weren't there for it, then you weren't there. So it's kind of hard for me to describe it to you, but the game just felt extremely rewarding and fun back then. And I could just chalk this up to nostalgia, which, you know, it probably was. It's not like the game was significantly better back then than it was now. It's literally the same game, just in a different market. And the fact that it's in a different market is really what's showing us some cracks in the shining armor, you know, some flaws that we didn't really notice, we weren't privy to before. A lot of more people are noticing, this game is not that good. And now that I have better, more fun, more rewarding things that I can play, like ALS, Anime Vanguards, Anime World Tower Defense, deadass has more players in them, and I think it's deserved because those dudes worked pretty hard on that game. You get what I'm trying to say, right? Anime Adventures was once extremely, like, way up here. And they were up there for so long that they gave other games time to catch up. They really did. Here's a picture of the Anime Adventures player count in 2023 before they got taken down. You could definitely say that this was when they were in their heyday and the game was really reaching its peaks of popularity. Everyone loved the game, everyone was playing it, everyone was hyped for updates. And here's the thing, although you might look at 67k and think that's not as much as the average big Roblox game today, that's not even as much as current day Anime Vanguards, what you have to take into account is that this was during a time period where Roblox was not as big as it was now. Albeit, Roblox was still incredibly huge in 2023, but the anime tower defense genre as a whole was not even half as big as it is now. The genre has expanded exponentially, like a lot by a lot. And Roblox as well is bigger than it's ever been before. So I'd say 67k back then was well over 100,000 now. To put it into perspective, the game had a lot of players. Here's another reason why I think the game declined. It's the fact that they don't build up hype for updates at all. And initially, I wrote this off as, well, it's Anime Adventures. They don't need to build up hype. They are the hype. Whenever they drop, best believe people are going to play. That was genuinely my mindset for a very long time. Plus, it's not like they ever really did trailers or any whole big song and dance routines before updates prior to the takedown of the game. They kind of just released it, announced it on the Discord, everybody went crazy, and that formula worked. But now, like I said, we're in the current climate of anime tower defense games. We're in the present day market. That does not seem to be good enough anymore. For example, the April Fool's update, correct me if I'm wrong, there was no trailer for it. There was no build up, there was no hype. they just dropped it. And that's why that shit peaked at like 25k, 30k players, not even half as much as what they had in their prime before they got taken down, when there were less anime tower defense players on Roblox. That speaks volumes as to how their current marketing strategy is outdated at best and downright harmful to the game at worst. I'm gonna give them some credit where they deserve it. They did make an effort to add quality of life features that we desperately wanted. We did get Unit Manager after begging for a very long time, and I'm not gonna discount that or write it off. That's a step in the right direction. But then we have, you know, one step forward, another step back. They added quick summon, or fast summon, or skip summon animation, and all it did was make the little star animation before you have to manually go through all 10 of your individual units a little faster. That is not what we want when we want to skip the summoning animation. We don't want to see the whole thing. I want to be able to summon for 10 units and immediately get them. I don't want to have to sit there and look through each and every single one of the units I got, because I don't care that much. I just want to summon my units and get done with it. And that's just one example of the quality of life features kind of being meh. You know, we get some good, we get some eh. And I can't imagine people enjoyed that too much, so I'll also chalk that up to another one of the reasons the game declined. Let's move on. This game does not value the player's time as much as other tower defense games do. And examples of that would be Anime Reborn values your time more. Anime Vanguards values your time more. Anime Last Stand values your time more. And what do I mean by that phrase that I keep repeating? Well, if you were to play these 3 games as a free-to-play player without spending a dime on the game, you would 110% be more heavily progressed, at least in terms of rerolls and like having good traits on your units in those 3 games than you ever would in Anime Adventures. Anime Adventures rerolls are very, very scarce. And once again, we all sort of used to just chalk that up to the fact that, well, you know, it's Anime Adventures, that's how they like to do things. If everyone was running around with Unique, it wouldn't be special, blah, blah, blah. But I think the fact of the matter is, and the player counts really show this most blatantly out of all of them, or out of everything that I'm saying, is that, frankly, people just don't want to be used like pay pigs whenever they want to get rerolls. People don't want to break the bank in order to have a chance of getting a super rare trait. Half of the fun in these anime tower defense games is the essence of gambling. The fact that you might get a really good trait and you never know. That's why you have to keep playing. You have to keep grinding rerolls. It keeps your audience hooked while simultaneously making you more money because you still have more players on your game. Yes, if you do make rerolls easier to get for the average free-to-play player, that might necessarily lower the amount of money you make because people aren't incentivized to spend money, right? Wrong. If people become a fan of your game and you build a genuine community that likes your game, they're gonna spend money regardless. That's genuinely my way of thinking. If you just made rerolls a little bit easier to get, because right now, what are the free-to-play rerolls? The daily challenge where you can get shards, but it's not even like that many rerolls. I think at most, you can get 50 of the little reroll shards, so that lets you reroll 5 times, correct me if I'm wrong. It's not that much. It's really not that much compared to the things that you get in other games. And a lot of people are going to tell me, oh, ALS is actually a bad example because they give too many rerolls and now the game is balanced around having overpowered traits. I beg to differ. I extremely, extremely enjoy that game. I'm addicted to that game. I've been meaning to make a video on it. I just haven't had the time. I've been enjoying that game so much solely because it's unbalanced. It is mindless fun. I love getting thousands of trait rerolls and gambling for traits. That's fun. That's what I like to do in these games anyway. Why wouldn't I gravitate towards a game that lets me do it for free, for just playing the game and being active? Why would I not be happy with that game? I fucking love Anime Last Stand's reroll system. Sure, maybe not every game. Sure, turn into an unbalanced nightmare that is ALS, you know. You can say a lot of things about their game, but you can't really call it balanced. I still enjoy the game. And even if Anime Adventures went down that route where they made rerolls extremely common to get, I promise you more people would be playing than they are now. Also, we have to address the elephant in the room, the models. Now, I've gone down this road many times. At first, I went down this road with Anime Defenders, rest in peace. Now I'm going down this exact same road with Anime Adventures, and I know how it ends. When you market yourself as an anime tower defense game, and you fail to provide anime units to your player base, no matter what the reasoning is, I'm sorry, people will not like the game. And I've had conversations with an Anime Adventures developer, and I told him, hey, like, do you guys ever plan on, like, doing anything about the models? Like, do you want to make them look more closer to the thing? And You know, they told me the same thing that I'll tell you now. IP, stealing an IP, is illegal. A lot of these anime tower defense games are founded on a foundation of theft, IP theft. Now, it's not the worst crime in the world. I'm sure there are worse crimes, and you know, if I get to play my cool anime game and see my cool anime units on Roblox, let's just say I'll turn a blind eye to that crime. Anime Adventures can't really do that. They're already on strike one. And a really good analogy that someone said in terms of Anime Adventures and the rest of the games, like Anime Vanguards, let's put Anime Vanguards and Anime Adventures together, right? Let's say they're both competing in a card game. They have two very, very different decks. And Anime Adventures has a drastically different deck for the worse, because if they even get one more copyright strike, bro, they are donezo. Like, they barely came back from the first one. In fact, I don't even think they were planning on coming back until they saw how profitable anime tower defense games still are, which is why they came back. But what I'm trying to say is, they really are stuck between a rock and a hard place in terms of models, because they already got in trouble once. If they get in trouble again, who knows what's going to happen? But the fact of the matter is, that excuse is not good enough to keep your players happy. Yes, a lot of the new models look pretty good. You know, Sakamoto Days units look very close to the source material and they look cool. But the fact that you keep changing more and more old units and relatively new units, and you don't tell anyone, you just kind of do it like a shadow change, but people are going to notice regardless, it turns people off of the game. It really does. And I don't think that's ever going to change. You know, people who play anime tower defense games do it because they like anime. They want to see their anime characters do cool things and kill the enemies. So when you fail to provide that, are you even an anime tower defense game at all? You know, this exact same line of reasoning applies to anime defenders, and that's one of the reasons why their eventual demise was evident. That's why it happened. The exact same thing that's happening to anime defenders is happening to anime adventures, except anime defenders has more players than them right now. You know how crazy that is? Look at this image. You see how crazy this is? Did you ever think in a million years, AD, a game that hasn't updated in God knows how long and is basically like just abandoned by the developers, would be pulling in more players, more concurrent players than anime adventures? Did you ever think this was going to happen? I sure didn't. Like I said, anime defenders will always have a special place in my heart. And you know what? I always said that it would be the anime adventures killer. I was right. You know, look at these numbers. Numbers don't lie. Look at this. This is crazy. This is a crazy stat line. And the last thing that I want to talk about, and I feel like this is arguably the most important, at least in my eyes, this is what really brought anime adventures down to the level that they are now and really let their competition sweep them from under the rug. It is one word. That is communication. Communication between anime adventures owners and their player base is next to none. It is basically non-existent. And I'll play devil's advocate here. I can't blame them, right? You guys have seen how bad the anime tower defense community can get and how toxic and volatile this community can be, especially during the height of like the anime adventurers versus anime vanguards debate. Things were getting crazy. I remember when anime adventures first dropped, or they first re-released, the anime vanguards Discord was literally flooded. That shit was like a civil war, but except of Tony Stark versus Iron Man, it was just little kids arguing over which Roblox game is better. But like, you know, it goes to show that this community can definitely be draining from an owner perspective. Having to deal with that day in and day out is going to take a toll on your mental, to the point where maybe you just want to distance yourself away from it completely and you just don't want to interact with them unless you have to. And that's exactly what Anime Adventures did, and it did not end well. Yes, like any community, there's going to be some people that are maybe a little too passionate about a video game, and they might lash out or get angry or get mad. But that's not really an excuse to leave your community in the dark. Now, I'm just completely speculating here. I don't know why they don't communicate with their fan base. That could be for a completely different reason. I could be completely wrong and be in the dark. That's the way that I interpret it. The owners see this community and they're like, yeah, maybe I'm going to stay a little bit away from them for the sake of my own sanity, and I just won't talk to them or communicate with them. That's what I think. Or maybe they have a different reasoning. I don't know. I wouldn't know. Nobody knows. They don't talk to us that much. But here's the thing. Anime Vanguards communicates with their player base, with their community, with their content creators in a way that Anime Adventures never did. And whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, the fact of the matter is it helped the game gain the fan base that it has now to an insane degree. Allow me to give you an example. This is Shrine. Shrine makes Anime Vanguard's videos regarding guides on how to effectively utilize characters, how to make best use of their passives, explaining in depth as to how you use this character and fully take advantage of their kit. And he does this completely for free. No one's paying him to do this. I guess if you want to count ad revenue. But even that, like, he's not officially employed by Anime Vanguard to make these guides, and they're extremely high quality. The effort that he puts in them is very evident. They take time to make. He does it because he enjoys the game. So what do the AV developers do? They notice his videos, they see that he's a smaller channel, and they shout him out in their Discord server, saying they'd like to commend one of their community members for making such high quality videos. I thought that was a really nice and sweet touch. But they went above and beyond, and after that, they got him to make the official unit overviews for the new update units in Update 5, the ones for Vegito and Boo. Shrine made those. He was the one behind making those units. Well, not the units. He made the fucking overviews for him. And it's a very well-made video. It's very professional looking. It's uploaded on the official Anime Vanguard's YouTube channel. And it's things like that that really showcase to me which community cares more about their players in regards to community interaction, right? Because you would never see something like that from Anime Adventures. And instances like Shrine weren't one-off things. The developers regularly interact with their content creators, with their community. They watch our videos. I can fucking promise you at least some Anime Vanguard's developers have seen my videos. I really don't know. Well, I know some Anime Adventures developers have seen my videos because I've talked to them about it. But what I'm trying to say is, in terms of communication, Anime Vanguard fucking blows these guys out of the park. They hold stages after every single major update to discuss what they did right, wrong, the future of the game, any questions, what they could improve. You don't see that from Anime Adventures. And in my opinion, that's really one of the most major things that contributed to the downfall of Anime Adventures. Had they been a little bit more transparent with us and maybe communicated more, I feel like things would not have gotten to the point where they are now, where people are just tossing the game away like yesterday's trash with zero remorse. And why would they? They did not really build as much of a deep-seated connection with the game as they did with Anime Vanguards in the same amount of time. Like, what I'm trying to say is, yes, people have a connection to Anime Adventures. It's been around for a while. I'd argue that more people grew a connection to Anime Vanguard sooner just because they talk to their community more and change things more often to what the community actually wants. This video has gone on for way longer than I wanted it to, so I'm gonna end it off here and try to close it off. What could Anime Adventures do to improve from the state that they're in right now? Well, I'm no game designer, but I'll tell you something that I think they personally need. They need to make the game a little bit more free to play. A little bit more free to play than it is right now. I'm not saying give away rerolls like they're candy, but as it stands, no one likes the current state of the game, and it's very evident in how many people are playing the game. They also need some innovation, you know, whether that be copying Anime Vanguards more, which I honestly wouldn't mind. They have a lot of good gameplay systems that I think Anime Adventures could utilize very nicely, or whether that's making something that AV can't instantly, immediately copy. They need to change something up. And I feel like they also need to have more updates on like big animes like One Piece, Attack on Titan. Do I think that'll ever happen? Probably not, for, you know, DMCA issues. But do I think Anime Adventures is permanently dead? 80% of me would say yes. We haven't gotten much communication. There hasn't been word of any update. There hasn't been any sneak peeks. There hasn't been anything. To me, it seems like the game is abandoned. Who knows? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I could be wrong. I could be right. But for now, I think that's it from me. So if you guys enjoyed the video, let me know in the comments what you think about Anime Adventures, and have a great day or night wherever you are. Stay tuned for more content, and we will catch you in the next one.